I want to be rich and I want to be mystic. I want to be the mystic man and I want to be the rich man. So I was like, I want to be a rich mystic. And so this is the identity and the name that I gave myself. What's up, legend? Clint X Morgan here. And welcome to the Rich Mystic Man podcast. I'm your host. And today we are stepping into a new identity, and which is really powerful because we have the power to shapeshift. And, what I really discovered throughout my life is that, if I look back, currently I'm 38 years old, born in 1984. And if I look back on my life, I've had many different versions of myself. So it's as if I've lived many different lives within the one life. And so, just to give an example of a few different identities that I've been in throughout my life, I guess when I was born, I was a baby. And then I grew into an infant. Then I grew into a boy. Then I grew into a teenager. Then I grew into a young adult. And right when I became, I guess when I was going to school, I was a school kid. I was going to school. And, when I then became an adult, I had friends that sort of, they went into university. So their sort of identity was around like going to university and continuing on their study and their education. And for me, I went into a job. And so I got a job, I started to work, and I also discovered the party life. And so I guess I worked to party. I was like, I just earned money. So then on the weekends I could go and party, or I'd even party during the week, weeknights and things like that. And so I had this identity of like someone who just loved to party. And so I ended up like going overseas and traveling and traveling all around Europe and just partying and traveling and partying and working just to really, party. And so I guess that was like the identity. It's like, cool. That was, I guess who I became. And then in 2008, I decided that I didn't like my job anymore that I was doing. And I had a friend of mine that was a personal trainer, and he was doing pretty well at it. He was making pretty good cash. And so I decided that I was going to give that a crack. And so I joined like what do you call it? Like I signed up for a course to get my certificate in personal training. And during that certificate, they had a really I'm grateful that I did the course with who I did, because part of their module, the first like two-thirds of the study was learning, physiology, how to train, exercise, nutrition, all the personal training stuff. But then the last third of it was business. And so, sales, marketing, leadership. And they opened up the doorway for me into, I think they called it wealth creation and personal development. And so basically what they impressed upon me was that, whatever you wanted in life, then you could just learn how to do it. And you just sort of had to learn the skill sets, set an intention, set some goals around it, get focused and apply yourself in that area. And so I really adopted this, and I was like, okay, cool. Because I guess I looked at my current reality, and I remember going to these, adult learning situation as a PT, and I was like shit scared, so nervous. Because, it was, which is funny because I do this now to people in my organization and business, is I ask challenging questions. Say we're at an event and it's like, oh, how's the event going? It's an event that we're hosting, or maybe I'm at one of our team's retreats or something like that. They're like, oh, it's amazing. It's really good. And then I'm like, why is it amazing? And they're like, oh, and you tell it's like, they're like, oh, I wasn't expecting a follow-up question, because most people go, oh yeah, it's amazing. Oh yeah, that's great. I'm like, okay, why is it amazing? Like, what's your biggest takeaway? Like, how are you going to apply this into your life? Like, what's your next action step? So it's like, you can take things a lot deeper. Anyway, so I was at this, this personal training course, and these guys were like professionals. They embodied personal development, mindset, business. They were very professional in how they approach things. It was called Max College. They were in Brisbane, in Australia. And so I'd be at the thing, and all of a sudden you're just trying to get some toast because they had like food and that. And the next minute someone's asking you, is like, okay, what's your goals over the next 5 years? And you're like, fucking hell, man. Like, just trying to have some toast here. Like, I didn't expect this question. And but anyway, it activated me, and I realized that I was very outside my comfort zone, and I wasn't really comfortable with those type of questions because I wasn't really clear on them, and I was very uncertain of myself and uncertain within myself. And so, but what it impressed upon me is that I can create what I want to create. And so for me, I'm like, okay, I'm really uncomfortable around people, and they introduced me to books like How to Win Friends and Influence People, Think and Grow Rich, The Magic of Thinking Big. And so I started reading these books, and even just, the How to Win Friends and Influence People, this book was, written in the 20s or something like that, old school. But a lot of the principles were really powerful, and I started to like apply them. And I noticed that, people responded to me differently, and I felt more confident, and I felt more comfortable with people that I didn't know. And then I also, once I became a personal trainer, I had to sell. And it's like, if I didn't sell as a personal trainer, I didn't eat, because I didn't get a job in a gym. I got a job wasn't even a job. It was like I was running my own business in a studio. I was paying rent. Then it was up to me to get my own clients. And so I'm like, well, if I don't get over myself and start communicating to people and talking to people, and, back then the strategy of building a personal training business for me anyway was like just on the streets giving out complimentary sessions. You get a complimentary session, someone would come in, you'd give them a great experience as a session, you tell them how much the price was, they'd sign up, and they'd do 1 or 2 sessions a week or 1 a fortnight, depending on their budget. You get them started, and that's how we got clients, right? And so, at that phase, my identity was a personal trainer, and I guess an upcoming entrepreneur, someone that was giving it a crack. But I was also like broke. I was living on credit cards. I was, supplementing my income with a credit card. I was spending more than I was earning, and so I was really struggling. I was a struggling entrepreneur. I was like extremely broke and in debt and behind on my bills. But I was also like giving it a fair crack. And so I was learning skill sets, mindset. And so I guess that sort of became my identity as like a struggling entrepreneur, right? And then, just a few years ago, I discovered network marketing. And so then I was like, cool, okay, now I'm a network marketer. I had to like really step into and own that, because I realized there was so much stuff, in the world around network marketing. And it's like, there was, people that had been, burnt by network marketing. It's like, oh, they'd been invited around to some dinner sometime, and next minute they're in some network marketing pitch. People think it's a Ponzi scheme, a pyramid scheme. There's all this sorts of stuff. There's all this like stigma around network marketing. So I had to like break through a lot of stuff, because I realized I had a lot of these belief systems within myself without really knowing. And so I had to like step into the identity of as a network marketer. And I had to, had to break through some of those limitations that I had around me seeing myself as someone that is a successful network marketer, or even just, owning the fact that that's what I do and that's what I'm proud about doing. Fast forward to now, I'm loud and proud. I love the industry. I'm proud of it. I love it. I think it's like, for me, it's one of the best ways to at least start on your wealth journey, because, you get these amazing products, and that where a company takes care of a lot of the stuff, the shipping, the charging, the warranty. You don't have to create the products. It's like you can tap into an already successful, company, and you can sell them, and you get paid on that, and you can build this amazing organization and income that then you can really set yourself up for freedom. Because now I have, a huge team, thousands of sales being made, like, in my organization, and me, I'm not the one doing it. It's like I have a team, but I still get paid on them. So it's like, now I can really show up like how I want to show up. And so I now really truly believe, hand on heart, that it's like a super powerful way to create wealth. And I highly recommend it for anyone, even if they have a business. It's like, this is a powerful way to supplement your income, buy back your time, and create financial freedom for yourself. So it's like, now I can own that identity. And but when I was stepping into that, one thing that I realized, and I'll take you guys through a process in a moment on how you can really identify what your identity is and how you can really then step into that, is one thing it was sort of like I'd sort of started with this with my high ticket item that I sell at the moment, my high ticket network marketing company that I'm aligned with now. And so I had just sort of started on the journey. I started to make a little bit of money. I'd made a little bit, but I sort of had this period where I was like, I don't know if I want to do it. I'd sort of half given up, or sort of half there. I wasn't really giving it much attention or focus. And I call myself now I call myself, at the time I didn't, but in hindsight, I was the spiritual bum. I was living in Burleigh on the Gold Coast, and I used to walk around the streets barefoot. I'd go down to the beach. I was meditating a lot. I was wearing like beads, and I was just, I'd go down for coffees barefoot, and I wasn't really doing much, but I sort of, money would just show up, and I was living in like trust, and I felt really abundant, and money would show up to support me with my lifestyle. But at the time, my lifestyle was very, I guess, minimalistic. And it was a really beautiful time in my life. I really enjoyed it. But I guess my identity was a spiritual bum. Even my track, Burrito track, it says, spiritual bum in belly with my woman, house sharing, music blaring, and we're having fun. All the washers stacked up, no sheets on the bed, avoiding reception because we're behind on the rent. I was nervous going over $5, looking all around in the glove box, center console in the back seat, scrambling all around for a 5-cent piece because we were broke. And so I was the spiritual bum in Burleigh. And that's a little piece out of my track called Burrito Truck. We'll be releasing very soon. We just had the Own Your Beat Burrito and Beers birthday bash, a concert that I put on for my late brother's birthday. His 42nd birthday would have been on Monday, the 26th. It's now Wednesday when I'm recording this. And we had this great night, and we filmed part of the music video for that track. And we had a really great night. I had Johnny Sonic there DJing, and we showcased a lot of the art we'd been creating with our music and our hip hop, and what we've been working on, creating an album over the last few months. So stay tuned for that. Jump onto clintxmorgan.org, and you can put in the details there, or clintxmorgan.com. Both go to the same place, and sign up there for my newsletter. And you can stay in the loop, or even just jump on over to my Instagram at Clint X Morgan, and or my Facebook at Clint X Morgan, and stay up to date with what's happening and my release of my tracks. That's my next focus. Is like, cool, let's get this music out into the world. I've got about 12 songs that most people haven't heard of, and so including you guys. So that's on me, and but I've just sort of been stockpiling so I can do an epic release and put it out as an album. So that's coming soon. But I regress. And so, yeah, spiritual bum in Burleigh with my woman. And so this is my identity, right? And I remember going to a workshop. It was with a guy called Jeff Slater. And, I wanted to create business success, because I was sort of like, I was still that broke entrepreneur. I still had that identity. Broke entrepreneur, spiritual bum in Burleigh. That was my identity. And, I went to this event with Jeffrey Slater, and he said something that has stuck with me till now. And I even share this with my team a lot. And, he said something along the lines of, I can tell the success of someone by looking in their calendar. Right, a successful person, their calendar will be filled with, sales calls, sales meetings, marketing meetings, calls with their team, scheduling content, doing content, networking events, et cetera, et cetera. And he rattled off like sort of different income producing activities, right? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, fuck, I don't even have a calendar. I don't use a calendar. And so what I realized is I also got a call from my mentor, my upline, and he's like, listen, bro, because, I'm willing to work with you to support you. By you ranking up in your business is going to support me to do that. And that's what I love. Another thing I love about the network marketing model is that, your upline supports you, and you then support your downline, and you really pass on that wisdom, which it's like a win-win support. Everyone's sort of supporting each other to help other people to thrive and move in their positions in the business, which then increases their income, which is really powerful. So one thing I love, the teamwork essence around the network marketing model. And, he reached out to me, said, bro, by you hitting this position will help me hit this position. So if you want to get to work, let's do it. And I was like, fuck, I'm the spiritual bum in Burley, but I'd love to shift my identity. I want to create wealth. I want to change my situation. I want to do something different. I want to create money, right? And I don't want to be broke anymore. I got sick of it. I was done with it. I'd had enough of it. And I guess I could be the spiritual bum, but it was sort of around the same time I met my partner at the time, now my wife, and the mother of my 3 children, Christy. And so I could be broke when it was just me, but when I had a wife, she wasn't my wife at the time, when I had my partner, it's I wanted to do better. I wanted to be better. I wanted to be a man that could support us, right? Not just the spiritual bum that could barely support himself, right? And so I made a decision then and there to step into new identity. And so I just did a simple thing. It was so simple, but it changed everything. You know what I did? Started wearing shoes. I did a little bit more than that. So I started wearing a suit. So I had this it wasn't a suit. It was I had an old blazer. I think I just wore a tee. Had an old blazer. It wasn't an old blazer. It was not a bad blazer, right? I had some slacks and, some nice sort of dress leather shoes, right? And so I had this stuff. I wasn't fully broke or homeless or anything. I still had clothes and things, but I just chose not to wear them. I was oh yeah, barefoot. I'm connecting with the earth. I'm earthing. And so I then started to wear these, nicer clothes. And I remember going down to the cafe where I'd always go barefoot. And I went in there and they were like, oh, whoa, Clint, you look nice. Do you have a wedding on today? I was like, nah, just making moves. I'm an entrepreneur. And so people started to respect me differently, look at me differently and treat me differently. I'm now a businessman. And so that's how I started showing up. And even when I was at home, because a lot of my work is done from home, things are done online, so I can work from home. And so it's easy when you work from home just to stay in your gym jams all day, because it's no one can see me, right? But then what happens when you put on something nice, even when you're just at home, right? How do you feel? You feel different. You're I'm a professional. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm the rich mystic man. So I started stepping into a new identity. Then I started asking some questions of myself. And I started asking, it's okay, cool. Because what I realized, I had this real awakening moment. It was around about the same time when I was in Bali, and I just had this epiphany, right? This epiphany that my thoughts create my reality, which wasn't new information for me. I'd heard that many times. It wasn't new. But when something you hear something, you might read it 10 times, but then finally it lands. You're I get it. Because I had this realization. It's okay, my thoughts create my reality. Right now, I'm in Bali. I'm in a hotel. I can't check out because I don't have any money to pay the bill. Oh, we just need one more night. We decided we're going to extend our stay for one more night. Meaning, I don't have the money to check out now, right? And I'm doing some work to try and get some money, but right now I can't check out because I don't have the money. So I'm my thoughts create my reality. Here I am completely broke in Bali with no money. That's me. I'm creating that shit. And so I had this moment where I was you know what? I need to shift that internal dialogue. I need to start thinking and showing up like a millionaire. If I want to be a millionaire, I need to start thinking like one. I need to start acting like one. I need to start showing up like one. And so from that moment, I started playing a different game, and I started stepping into this identity, this millionaire version of myself. And the last identity shift that I want to talk about, because that, led me to now. And, by asking yourself that question, and this is something you can do, is like, how would the millionaire version of me show up? Right? Or how would the rich mystic man show up? Right? So then you have these little decisions that pop up in your life. And, I started making these decisions around money. It's like, okay, cool. I'm in this situation here. And, this is going to take an investment to do this thing. And it might be like something like investing into a coach, investing into some marketing, investing into a healer that's going to support me like in my growth journey. Maybe buying like a new jacket or something that's going to like help me feel better in myself. So I'm not wearing like the same bummy clothes. It's like something nice, and now as I've, grown in my wealth, it's bigger decisions like buying an investment property or buying a house or buying some land or, something like that. Like these decisions or buying a car is like, okay, cool. Well, how would the abundant version, how would the rich version, how would the millionaire version, how would the rich mystic man show up and make a decision in this moment? And so, I've shared this on another podcast, is like when we let money define our decisions. And of course, it's a considering factor, but it's not the only factor when we're making decisions. So if you're always like, listen, I'd love to do this, but I don't have any money. If that's your response, then that's always going to be your response, and you'll always be limited by money. On the flip side of that is like, okay, right now in my current reality, I don't have the funds available to me right now, but I'm gonna say yes, right? And I'm gonna get the money together. I'm gonna create the money to support me to do this thing. And so this is how a millionaire shows up, right? Because the reality of being a millionaire, it's not essentially having $1 million. It's a frequency. It's being able to create $1 million, right? But a millionaire will create $1 million, and the millionaire will use that $1 million to support him in his life. Whether that's, buying food for his family, or, supporting on adventures that they're going on as a family, or supporting him to, have warm clothes and to be nourished with good food, and to, travel and have different experiences and put a roof, over his head and support his family and support his community. Right. So that's what a millionaire does. And so it doesn't mean he's just got a million cash. And so he's like, yeah, I can do that. It's like, nah, he's a creator. He's got this certain energy about this frequency about him that he's like, I know that I can create $1 million to support me in my lifestyle, in the things that I wish to create. And so, it doesn't mean he's always got the money there just to say things, but as a millionaire, he's like, okay, cool. I know I can create this. So I'm going to say yes and trust that the money will show up. I'm going to start saying yes to these things, and no, also I'm applying myself within my business, within marketing, sales, leadership, and I'm applying myself here, because it's not like you can just, keep saying yes to things and have some imaginary money that's just going to land in your bank account, right? The reality is like you need to sell something or be doing something in, trading time and money for your services in some way, shape, or form, right, to create wealth, until you don't, and maybe you have some passive income and things like that where you don't have to do that, right? But there still needs to be some sort of exchange happening to support that. So it's not like you can be in la la land. It's like, I'm just going to keep saying yes to those things, but I have no like strategy or no way of bringing in money. So it's like, yes, I'm going to say things, and I'm going to like work my nuts off. I've never said that before. Work my nuts off, right? In, bringing in sales, bringing in income, bringing in money, right? And building my business that's going to support me in these decisions that I'm making over here. Okay. And so I started asking myself that question. It's like, okay, how would a millionaire show up, right? They have courage. They have balls. They seize the day. They seize the moment, right? They show up. They do courageous things. They're consistently stepping into the unknown. And so I'll take you through a simple process in a minute so you can shift into your identity. But one last thing I want to share as I take a sip of my cacao. Go to freedomcacao.love. It's my preferred cacao, Freedom Cacao. And so I was doing a course, this was a couple of years ago, and with a fellow called Dane Thomas. And part of the course, right, was stepping into a new identity, right? So one thing he shared, and that is like, he goes, give the identity a name. Like, what's this identity you want to step into? And so for me at the time, it's like I'd been the spiritual bum, right, and had these like mystical, magical experiences, right, but I was broke, right? Then I'd sort of stepped into like the wealth space and, learn how to make money, learn how to do sales, and, learned marketing, I wouldn't say mastered, but I was mastering the money game, right? Still am. I wouldn't say I've mastered it, so I'm still figuring it out. I'm on my way. I think it takes at least 10 years to gain mastery of something, at least 10,000 hours. And even then, it's like you're still a student. You're still figuring it out. And so, I'd sort of, created financial success. And I'd had this like time where I was like the spiritual bum, and then I just sort of created worldly success, right? And I'm like, I want to merge the two, right? I want to be rich and I want to be mystic. I want to be the mystic man and I want to be the rich man. So I was like, I want to be a rich mystic. And so this is the identity and the name that I gave myself, just, for the purpose of this course. And then I was like, rich mystic. I was like, that sounds cool. And I remember like sharing with my wife. She's like, whoa, that's hot. I like that name. And so from there, the rich mystic man was born. And so this was the identity, This was the identity that I was stepping into. Right? And so now I have a podcast. I had the Rich Mystic Man retreat. I got the Rich Man retreat this weekend. 13 men coming to my land, having a mystical rich experience over 3 days. And so I'm stepping into the rich mystic man identity. So I ask you, what identity do you want to shift into? And you can borrow mine. You can use the rich mystic man if that resonates. You could be the millionaire version of yourself, the millionaire artist, the millionaire entrepreneur, the millionaire family man, the balanced billionaire. I'm just making up names now, right? So let me run you through this simple process. So take a look at your current reality. What's your identity you currently carry around money? What's the identity you carry around leadership? What's the identity that you show up and you carry within your personal brand? As a salesman, what's the identity you carry as a father? What's the identity you carry as a husband? What's the identity you carry as a son? And these could be just like, yeah, I'm a good son. I'm a great father. I'm a present father. I'm an amazing leader. I know how to lead others. I am an inspiring example of what's possible for others. Or maybe I lack in my leadership. I'm not a good leader. I'm not there for my children. I'm not a great father. Like, be honest with yourself. So sort of start to identify these different aspects, and you might, maybe money's one, sales, marketing, your personal brand, your image, like how do you dress? Maybe as I'm saying this, it's like, yeah, fuck man, I dress as a bum. That's okay. And maybe that's the identity that you want, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's time to give yourself permission to to comfort yourself with some good clothes. Buy yourself really good foods. Start to eat organic. Start to really nourish your body. Go on a mystical, magical healing journey. So what's your current identity? Get clear on that. Write it out. There's no wrong or right here. Just write it out. Be honest. And then the second part of the exercise is, what identity do you want to adopt? What identity do you want to embody? Who do you wish to become? Who do you wish to become as a leader? Who do you wish to become in your finances? What do you wish to create as a creator? How do you wish to show up as a father, as a husband? As a son? As a brand? As a personal brand? As a salesman? As a marketer? As a businessman? So write these out. And it could be something as simple as, I am my authentic self, an expression through my brand, which expresses wealth, luxury, possibilities, expansion, growth, humor, love, that I'm a family man, that I'm a man of honor, integrity, that I have a genuine heart and I wish well for others. I'm a humanitarian. I'm a visionary. I'm a powerful leader. So start to get clear on these things. And you're defining your new identity, right? And, just because you did this exercise, you write out your old identity, you want to sort of, maybe move on from. And then obviously there's probably many things that you want to keep. It's not about, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You could be going, yeah, man, actually, like I'm a great leader. I'm a great father. I love that, but my money sucks. So I want to, step into an identity of the rich man, a wealthy man. I want to, live abundantly. I want to live a life of luxury, of prosperity. I want to live a life of impact, a life of service. Maybe you've created like money for yourself, but it's like, I want to help others. I want to be of service. Or maybe you've created financial success for yourself. You're like, man, I just want to spend the rest of my days being of service to others. So get clear on what, where you're shifting into. Stuff you like, stuff you want to shift and change, and then start to make this new identity. Write it out. And then if you can, give it a name. Like I did, the rich mystic man. The millionaire version of yourself. I'm a millionaire mentor. Like whatever it is. Give it a name. And then start to own it. And start to do the work to embody it. And become it. People often say within our organization, how do I attract more leaders into my business? You become a leader. You become the leader you want to attract. So write out all the traits of who you want to attract into your business. Fuck, I just looked over the window and my dad's there staring at me, scared the shit out of me. Just see this like silhouette. Get clear on who you want to attract, but get clear on the leaders you want to get clear on the leader you want to attract, and then become that. Become that person. Become all those traits you want to see in others. And by becoming it, then you'll begin to attract it into your life, because like attracts like. So step into the identity. And once you've created your identity, I'd love for you to share it with me. Maybe jump on over to my YouTube at Clint X Morgan. Find this episode, this video. If you're watching it here, just drop it in the comments below. Take the time to do it. The more you own it and write it down and share it publicly, and maybe share it to your partner or your family or your community, or come and share it over on the podcast and say, this is my new identity. This is who I'm becoming. And own that shit. And do the work. Never give up. And shift. Know that you can change. Who do you want to become? And get a sense. You'll know. So it's not about trying to be someone else. It's like, what's my authentic expression? What's my gifts? What's my uniqueness? Right? So it's really tuning into you. It's not tuning into someone else or wanting to be someone else. It's like, what's my expression? And maybe millionaire is another thing. Maybe you don't want to be a millionaire. That's okay. That's fine. And maybe, you start, maybe just want to create a few $100,000 a year or something like that. And you do that and you're like, actually, this ain't enough. I want some more money. Great. Step into the millionaire. You can become a millionaire. You're like, wait a second, this ain't enough. All right, great. Create 10 million. You get to 10 million. You're like, man, this ain't enough. You're like, cool. Create 100 million. Create 1 billion. Well, it's ever changing and ever evolving. You don't have to get stuck on one thing. You might become the rich mystic man. You're like, dude, I don't want to be mystic anymore. I just want to be rich. Or you become the rich man. You're like, dude, I need some more mystical experiences in my life. Cool. Step into the mystic, right? Shapeshifter. You can change. We can shift. We can evolve. It's your life. Live it however you want to. I'm Clint X Morgan. Thank you. See you on the next episode.
Watching the clock, I'm struggling, thinking of the bullshit that I've been juggling. Is there more to life than this? I'm thinking twice.